Good morning. Convening the Staff Hearing Officer meeting of May 14th, 2025, beginning with preliminary matters. Ms. Gu, do we have any requests for... Our technology is not helping us today. Do we have any requests for continuances, withdrawals, postponements, or addition of X agenda items?
At this time, no, we do not have any requests for continuances, withdrawals, or postponements or ex-agenda items.
Thank you. Do we have any announcements or appeals?
At this time, no, we do not have any announcements or appeals.
And any comments from members of the public pertaining to items not on this agenda?
For public comment not on the agenda, no, we have not received any.
Thank you. And we'll move on to our projects. We're going to take these out of order. The first one is 923 State Street. We'll trail that and begin with item 2B, which is 574 Ricardo Avenue. And I'll read this project just a moment. It's not.
There it goes.
Oh. Okay. Thank you. So 574 Ricardo Avenue. This is a new item for a zoning modification. It's a 7,400 square foot site. I believe the site area was misstated in the staff report, but the correction is that it is 7,400 square feet. It's currently developed with a 1,324 square foot single family residence with an attached 413 square foot 2-car garage. The project proposes to demolish the existing development to construct a new 2,287 square foot 2-story single family residence with an attached 413 square foot 2-car garage, 223 square foot 2nd-story deck, 6-foot high wood fence and gate, variable height retaining wall, and changes to landscape and hardscape. The discretionary application reviewed at this hearing under purview of the staff hearing officer is a front setback modification to allow a portion of the reconstructed attached garage to remain in the front setback combined with substantial redevelopment. The project is exempt from further environmental review under Section 15303 of the CEQA guidelines, which allows for construction of a single-family residence in a residential zone. No significant project-specific or cumulative environmental impacts are expected as part of the project. The project does not have the potential to damage scenic highways or historic resources, and the project site is not identified as a hazardous waste site. Therefore, none of the categorical exceptions apply. Our staff planner is Carly Ernest. She's here and will take us through the project plans and describe the project for us. Thank you, Ms. Ernest. And Ms. Gu, if you could switch over to Ms. Ernest's computer, please.
All right, thank you, Mr. Gullett, and good morning, Carly Ernest, Associate Planner. I will be presenting the project at 574 Ricardo Avenue and the request for a front setback modification. And the project site is located at 574 Ricardo Avenue over in the Alta Mesa neighborhood off Meigs Road. It is zoned RS15 and developed with a single-family residence, and it's primarily surrounded by other single-family residential developments. And for some site photos and neighborhood photos, this is the existing one-story residence. It was constructed in 1957, and it is legal non-conforming to the front setback. The garage is currently approximately 15 feet from the front lot line, but today's development standards of the RS15 zone, the front setback should be 30 feet. And so here's the front and side elevations, rear elevations and backyard. And then for some neighborhood context, you can see there's many one-story homes in the neighborhood that have similar footprints, where the garage is located approximately 15 feet from the front lot line, and similar legal non-conforming developments with respect to the front setback. So yeah, this is to the right. This is the project site. This is to the right of the project, to the left of the project, and then directly across the street, those three homes. And I will pull up the street elevation as I provide some background to this project. Let me zoom out here. So here it says approved street elevation, and this is the project site. So the project proposes to demolish the existing residence and construct a new two-story residence. And for some background, this project was previously approved by the Single Family Design Board in 2021. And at that time, the project was designed to retain the existing foundation, garage, and portion of the existing walls. So it was not anticipated to result in substantial redevelopment. But during construction, it was discovered that the initial soils assessment was insufficient, and the foundation was experiencing uneven settlement, so they needed to remove the entire structure, which resulted in substantial redevelopment and the need for a front setback modification to reconstruct the garage in the same footprint in its location approximately 15 feet from the front lot line. And the plans remain largely unchanged from the previously approved plans. There was a small portion of this elevation that was pulled in because to avoid the need for a second interior setback modification, just by a matter of inches, I believe. And the project also went back to the Single Family Design Board on April 21st, and SFDB stated they are supportive of the modification as it relates to the design, and that it is substantially similar to the plans that were previously approved in 2021. And staff is also supportive of the modification because it is an appropriate improvement of the lot. A redesign to have the garage comply would be unreasonable because it would reduce the parking to less than the required, which is 2 covered spaces provided in that garage. And we also believe that this neighborhood has similar patterns of lot development and footprints where there's legal non-conforming situations, so the approval of this modification would allow the project to remain consistent with and uniform with patterns of development in the neighborhood. And staff believes the required findings for approval can be made, and The owner or the architect is here today if they have anything to add, and I'm available for questions. Thank you.
Very good, thank you. Would the architect like to add anything to the presentation? Yes, please. And please introduce yourself.
No, thank you. I think Carly has covered it pretty extensively. So yes, the reason we are coming for this modification was because of the discovery of the unsuitable foundation, and we had to replace the whole thing instead of keeping it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Gu, do we have any public comment on this item? I didn't receive any written public comment.
No, there were no submitted public comment for this particular item, and on checking Zoom, I do not see any raised hands for this item.
Thank you, Ms. Gu. We'll close public comment. This is kind of a strange situation. In 1975, there was a down zone citywide. So we have an existing pattern of development where we essentially created non-conforming structures all over this neighborhood. And this was an approved project, and then there was the discovery that additional work needed to be done, and this approval was needed. What's being proposed now would have been within the zoning setbacks in 1974, but because that changed in 1975, it became non-conforming. So I went out to the site, reviewed the staff report, fully concur with staff's findings that this is an appropriate improvement. It would be unreasonable to deny it. So I do approve this zoning modification, and thank you for your thorough application. And with that, there is a 10-day appeal period. The appeal would have to be filed at 630 Garden Street, and it's appealable to the Planning Commission. So with that, I'll close item B. Thank you, Ms. Ernest. And we'll continue to trail item A and move forward to item C. And Ms. Guga, if you could switch back over to the other computer. Thank you. And item 2C is 205 Anacapa Street. This is a new item for a coastal development permit. The 10,208 square foot site is currently developed with a single-story winery composed of 3 commercial buildings and a surface parking lot with 10 vehicle spaces. The project consists of tenant improvements to the existing winery, including a 231 square foot demolition and 469 square foot addition to Building A to allow for restrooms and improved circulation, conversion of Building C from storage and wine tasting space to a kitchen, replacement of the existing trash enclosure with a new trash enclosure, and removal of an unpermitted exterior deck and shade structure. Pursuant to AB 2097, the project includes removal of the parking lot to allow for outdoor seating areas, including an approximately 2,289 square foot outdoor patio with a wood trellis shade structure, an 873 square foot outdoor cafe, and a 371 square foot private outdoor tasting area. So the discretionary application required at this hearing under purview of Staff Hearing Officer is a coastal development permit to allow for the proposed development in the non-appealable jurisdiction of the coastal zone. The project is exempt from further environmental review under Section 15301 of the California Environmental Quality Act guidelines, which allows for repair, maintenance, or minor alteration of existing private structures, including additions. No significant project-specific or cumulative environmental impacts are expected because of the project. The project does not have the potential to damage scenic highways or historic resources, and the project site is not identified as a hazardous waste site. Therefore, none of the categorical exceptions apply. Ms. Pilar Plummer, Associate Planner, is the staff planner for this project. And Ms. Plummer, could you take us through the project, please? And Ms. Gu, could you transfer over to the other computer? Thank you.
Thank you. Pilar Plummer, Associate Planner with the City of Santa Barbara Planning and Zoning Division. So as you described, the project that's in front of you is a coastal development permit request to make improvements to an existing winery, Pali Winery, located on the corner of Yananali and Anacapa Street. So as I mentioned, it's an existing winery now. The site is developed with 3 building areas on the property, all of which are 1 story. You can kind of see this in the photos here. Yeah, pretty simple design. 1 story view from Anacapa Street looking back towards the property. And let's go to... So the overall project, really, I'd say the bigger component of the project is to remove the existing parking lot. Right now, they have the 3 building areas, and then a parking lot occupies most of the frontage portions of the site. So the request is to remove that parking lot pursuant to AB 2097 because they're within area of public transit, and to replace the parking lot with some outdoor seating areas. This kind of describes it a little bit. This is the seating plan, but essentially they're going to be creating different outdoor patio areas. So one here, an additional one here and here. So this is all outdoors, but there will be a trellis structure throughout this portion to provide shade to patrons of the winery. Overall seating count is 142, and while the vehicle parking requirement is not required, again, because they're in AB 2097, they do need to provide bicycle parking for the project. Based on the amount of seats being proposed, 7 bicycle parking spaces are required. The applicant is providing 8 bicycle parking spaces in addition to 3 bicycle parking spaces which already exist in the right-of-way to the site. Also, we're in the coastal zone, so there isn't a requirement for short-term versus long-term, but they are allocating 25% to long-term bicycle parking spaces for employees, which is a great benefit to the use. In terms of the coastal development permit, as well, they are doing a landscaping plan, so you can kind of see that here, but they'll be installing a tree in that center trellised area for shade, as well as an aesthetic design element for the project. There are some other trees as well as low landscaping and shrubs, which will be done throughout the 2 frontages and elsewhere throughout the site. The project was reviewed by the Architectural Board of Review previously, and they were generally supportive of the landscape palette. They did want it to go in the direction of more California natives. So that'll be reviewed by them again when they go for project design approval. And in terms of the overall design of the project, the Architectural Board of Review is also supportive of that. In terms of the proposed trellis structures, the new trash enclosure that they'll be doing in the design. This just gives you some examples of the sort of palette that they're going with for the project. So in terms of the coastal development permit, we're in the non-appealable jurisdiction of the coastal zone. They are, I didn't cover this earlier, but they are doing some minor demolition work between the area of Building A to allow for some improved circulation and some restroom areas here as well as some internal change of use to allow for a kitchen here. Those are all allowed uses, and really it's just to enhance the circulation of the building and overall on-site uses. This is a visitor serving area. As outlined in the coastal land use plan, we're in the funk zone. This very much represents, a winery, but a restaurant type use, which is something supportive for this portion of the city. In terms of the other coastal land use plan policies that are applicable, we have compatible development. So as I mentioned, the Architectural Board of Review was generally supportive of the project and the overall site layout and design. They are preserving bike parking, like I said, out on the public frontage with 3 spaces, and then they're going to do more bicycle parking to address the coastal policy 3.1-29 to maintain public access for persons to access the coast. Also, while they are removing vehicle parking on site to do these outdoor areas, they are within close proximity to Amtrak and other ride-sharing options, so there wouldn't be an issue as far as maintaining public access. That really concludes my presentation. We found it consistent with the Coastal Act and Coastal Land Use Plan policies that are applicable to the project, and that's that. The applicant is here if they have anything to add.
Yeah. Yeah, if you could come up and introduce yourself, I just have a couple of questions.
I'm Jessie Finicum Schwartz with Anacapa Architecture.
Thank you for being here. The first, I just want to note policy 3.1-29 about off-street parking for new development and substantial redevelopment in the coastal zone. It essentially says you have to meet parking standards, and sometimes you need a parking demand study. This is superseded by AB 2097. So for anyone reviewing the staff report, this is essentially no longer applicable for this. So this is a newer law, and we haven't seen many projects in the funk zone yet. So essentially in the funk zone, you can do a new development and completely remove your parking unless it's for a use like hotel. So it really unlocks a lot of potential for outdoor dining and space, and we see that in this project, and that's great. I just wanted to ask some questions, especially about the public realm around this. So it looks like 2 curb cuts are being closed, so we gain some curb space for other uses, and the pedestrian environment is improved. This is essentially smack dab in the middle of the funk zone. We'll be seeing more of these for sure. I foresee this project setting the tone for others that we'll see in the area. And I'll also note policy 4.3-7, which is compatible development. So development shall be sited and designed to be visually compatible with the character of the surrounding areas, and where appropriate, protect the unique characteristics of areas that are popular visitor destination points for recreational uses. So this is certainly a unique area that has its own character. There's a granularity, there's art everywhere, and I would just like the architect to speak to how this project will be compatible with the neighborhood as it proceeds through ABR review especially.
As far as the overall design of this building goes, we've really tried to stay in keeping with the aesthetic that it already had going. It's very, very kind of flat, linear, big openings, and it's all existing masonry. So we're kind of bringing those materials in throughout the property, using kind of screen blocking and things like that to provide privacy without obstructing public viewer access. We've also done quite a bit of increase to the planting zone, as you can see from the landscape, to try to kind of liven it up. It's all asphalt right now, and we have a tremendous amount of additional landscape going in that will definitely make it a more pleasant environment. As far as the neighboring structures, if we kind of look around the other corners, they're all very similar: low, flat top, horizontal structures, large openings, and we're definitely within keeping of that language.
Well, and just if you could speak, because the neighborhood, like even the utility poles are essentially canvases. People are nailing art into the utility poles. There's murals. Like, is this project accommodating space for murals? I see there's the large trash enclosure along Yananali here. Is it something you've contemplated?
We currently don't have any art proposed as on the property. We are doing some moves like creating a display in the kitchen zone that's going to be a little bit more lively, featuring some baked goods and things like that, but we do not have any murals planned at this time.
Okay. And regarding the bike parking, I believe there's 3 hitching posts on Anacapa Street in front, and I didn't see those replaced in the right of way, but maybe I missed that.
The 3 hitching posts on Anacapa are up there near Grid Line 2, and they are not being removed as a part of the project. We don't have work on that portion of the curb. We are then also adding new bike parking along in our planter space along Anacapa Street. We have 6 spots going over there. There they are.
Okay, yeah, so I will ask that those be reviewed by transportation planning as you proceed. Those hitching posts are not city standard anymore. They're going to be replaced citywide, and by the it's more of a round ring design, and you'll see across the street they're galvanized. That's something you don't see downtown, so that's part of like retaining the character and essentially wanting the funk to be kept down here, and for that to be kept in mind as you proceed through design review. Thank you. Ms. Gu, do we have any public comment on this project?
On this particular project, I did not receive any emailed or written submitted public comment. And on observing Zoom, I do not see any raised hands for this particular project. Thank you.
Okay, yeah, we'll close public comment. I went out to the site, reviewed the staff report, and concur with Ms. Pilar's analysis and findings, and approve the project subject to the conditions in the staff report. This is also appealable to Planning Commission within 10 calendar days. And thank you for being here.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
And Ms. Gu will take a 5-minute break while we get item A up. Thank you. Thank you. Reconvening the meeting of May 14th, 2025. We'll go back to item 2A, 923 State Street. This is a new item for a modification. The 5,054 square foot lot is developed with a 5,330 square foot two-story commercial building. The applicant proposes to convert the 1,204 square foot second unit to a residential unit. The building is known as Osborne's Bookstore, constructed in 1914, located in the El Pueblo Viejo district and listed on the California Inventory of Historic Resources. No exterior alterations are proposed to the existing building. A credit of 1,204 square feet of non-residential floor area is applicable per the city's growth management program. The property is located in the 100% zone of benefit and is located within the Assembly Bill AB 2097 radius, therefore no parking is required. The discretionary application reviewed under this hearing under purview of the staff hearing officer is an open yard modification to provide less than the required amount of open yard. The project is exempt from further environmental review under section 15303 and 15305 of the CEQA guidelines, which allow for the conversion of non-residential space to residential space for fewer than 6 residential units and for modifications to the zoning ordinance pursuant to chapter 30 to 50 of the municipal code, respectively. The project is exempt from further environmental review under section, I just said that, and we will proceed. Ms. Gu, could you switch over to the staff computer, please? And we're joined by the applicant, Mr. Douglas Beard.
Yes, Douglas Beard, architect.
Yeah, Mr. Beard, if you could walk us through the design thinking and the modification. So this is a modification for open yard, and the city is undergoing a process for a new adaptive reuse ordinance that would make it so this is just allowed by right, and the densities are not limited the way they are today. So in the meantime, this is the process for approving such a project. And if you could talk about the project a bit, that'd be appreciated. Thank you.
Well, essentially, this is located obviously in the downtown corridor area between Cannon Perdido and Carrillo, just right off State Street. The actual portion of the project, which is one of 4 different commercial spaces currently zoned that way, is a unit in the back that is accessed essentially through this fire corridor between a parking structure and the building. The parking structure is located right here. The building is here. This is the unit that's here that is accessed through these stairways right here. Again, this is the parking structure on this side. This is the access way. There's trash located down below. Again, this is the parking area. What we're looking at doing is no exterior changes. The current use is office space, and we're just looking to add an 80 square foot area, bathroom area to accommodate residential living. It is proposed to be like a 2-bedroom, 1-bath space within this second story unit here. Commercial, down below is all commercial, and we're looking to change the space in the second floor upstairs to this. And again, we have access through windows on the second floor, main access up through here, and again, the change in the bathroom area is all we're looking to do. So that, and the modification we're asking for is for open space. Because we have no place to do any additional open space.
Very, very good. Thank you, Mr. Beard. Ms. Gu, do we have any public comment on this item?
I did not receive any public comment, written or emailed, and observing Zoom, I do not see any raised hands for this particular item.
Thank you. So I'll close the public comment. This project is very clearly in line with what the city's wanting to see and facilitate downtown. The rules are going to change, so it's easier to do this moving forward, and hopefully by the end of the year. Very clearly, the city, especially in the downtown corridor, is wanting to facilitate conversion of non-residential area to residential units for various reasons, and waiving the open space requirement makes sense because there's so many places to go and enjoy the outdoors with downtown living, and is more of an urban environment, and many have heard nice parks, and the State Street corridor is somewhat like a park itself. So I concur with staff's analysis and findings for your project, and approve the open space modification, and thank you for bringing housing to downtown. And this action, like the others, is also appealable to the Planning Commission within 10 calendar days. So thank you both. Thank you. Yeah, and with that, I will close the meeting. Thank you.